Hi, how you doing? My name is Red Douglas McDowell. A lot of you guys know me perhaps as the dog pull guy, but I'm here with EWoods, who is a very talented multi-hyphenate who also got involved in the Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni saga. Now, he is a multi-hyphenate who has had training in London and Paris. He's been around media. He's a talented singer. He's an actor and he's a dancer. And I'm very happy to have him with me here today to talk about his experience, how he got here, and what this entire process meant to him. So, EWood, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure. So, just to start, I know it's kind of been an interesting time because this has been one of the stranger things in media, but how did you get to that place where you got involved in this?
So it happens a long time ago, because I worked with Blake and Leighton in 2010. Because I was in Paris at that time, and they were shooting like Gossip Girl. So what happened is I have a friend from a friend who knew about me, wanted to be involved like in industry, wanted to work on set. And so he told me, well, there's going to be a huge show in Paris in a few weeks. Are you interested? So you're not going to be paid. You have to be there on time, and I will let you know. No, because it was and it was not an issue for me because it was like my first big experience on such a huge, set. Because before I work on small set, but I knew the information that I had. It was like it's going to be big, but it's only when I arrived. Then I realized it was Gossip Girl.
Yeah.
So it was during the summer in July. I don't exactly remember the date, but it was in July. It was so hot. I remember like yesterday. So many people outside screaming, and I remember those big white trailers. When I arrived, I saw like those big white trailers. But anyway, so I arrived and I realized, okay, this is Gossip Girl. This is a huge opportunity. So I'm excited, but at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, so I have to do my job properly. So basically my job was very, I will not say simple. It was more like moving equipment, making sure there is enough water on those, white trailers, and if there is need of anything else, I have to be ready. That was like basically my job. And so when I was walking towards like those white trailers, the first person that I saw is Leighton, and I said hi. And then moving forward, I saw Blake, and I said hi. And she didn't reply to me. And she gave me like the cold shoulder for the entire time I was there. I worked for 2 days, on set. I was able to have a conversation with Leighton on my last day because, she's into music. And it was very clear that was my first time being on such a huge set. I think any of us, like when we're working on something in a company, you can tell when someone is first day, you know what I mean? So It was very clear that I was very new to, this type of environment. So I was just willing to do my best because I was just wanting to go back, I was just wanting to make sure I'm doing my job properly. And working with Blake was a nightmare because she didn't reply to me. She was making fun of me, and also she has a way to talk about people, but especially people at the bottom. On set, you have a very, you have people at the bottom, and then you have people on top. And so she had a very nasty, rude attitude, And I think because we were in Paris. And some of the people on set there was also some French people. I guess maybe she thought maybe that I don't understand what she's saying, but it was a long time ago, so I do not remember exactly what she was saying, but she was making fun of me, but anyway. And so, when she didn't reply to me when I said hi, the entire day, because it was on the first day, I was like, oh my God, I screwed up. They're going to fire me. That's done. I'm never going to work again because, because it was crazy. it was like, oh my God, I was not supposed to say hi. Like, I just said hi. It was not like I'm trying to have a conversation. It's just like I arrived on set. I said hi to Leighton. She said hi back. And I don't see any problem to do that. I just think it's normal, you know? And so the entire time I'm like, oh my God, I'm not going to, they're going to fire me, or they're going to say, okay, so you can go home, you know, but anyway, so, and on the last day, so that's when I was talking to Leighton, and she just asked me, okay, what's next? What are you going to do next? And I said, well, I'm really into music. And she said to me, oh, okay, good luck. And that's how the whole experience on that set ended. So on the good and positive, you know, thing, because it was like in the beginning was a bit strange on the first day, but on the last day, just because of Leighton, like my experience was great, you know, because in the beginning I was like, oh God, what I, you know, what am I supposed to do? Because for me it was just being polite, just to say hi when you arrive somewhere, you know. So it was a very strange, and so I never spoke about that. You know, I was like, well, you know, it's in the past. It's only when in 2024, because it's in 2024 when the story broke the news about Blake and Justin. You know, it was like around December 2024. And I really thought about, am I going to say something or not? Because I knew, and you know the industry, how the industry works. And I was like, if I say something, then I might be in trouble for maybe next jobs that I want to get.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was looking in the mirror and I was thinking, no, I need to say something, because I could tell that she's lying. Like there is something, it's not adding up. Like there was something when I heard the story the first time, I was like, I don't know, there is something strange. And but still at that time I was still, and people can still find my first tweet that I put online when the story broke. I said, regardless of how I feel about Blake, and regardless of my experience working with Blake, if what she's saying is true, I'm going to be 100% behind her. You know, like if Justin has done what she's saying he has done, then I'm going to be 100% supporting her. You know, it was like, there is no way I'm going to support someone behaving like this. You know what I mean? And when start things to shift, it's only when Justin gave us a website with all the evidence and everything. That's when I said, "Ooh, I knew something was strange. I knew something was not adding up." And I knew it, you know, because I think you know that, like working on sets, there is like so many people, and we are talking about Blake Lively. We're not talking about like a small actress who just arrive in Hollywood. You know, like we're talking about someone who is married to a very powerful man, and most of the time, you will have people being abused by very powerful men. You know, it's not like Justin Baldoni is not powerful as Brad Pitt or George Clooney. You know what I mean? It's not like there is a lot of people who didn't know about Justin Baldoni. You know what I mean? So the power dynamic, it's very clear. Like they are powerful, and Justin is not as powerful as Blake and Ryan. So there was like so many layers, you know, regarding this story, and also because I think because I worked with her, and I knew how she was back then. It was in 2010, and when I read some of the stuff, some details, and I knew, well, so she hasn't changed. You know, it's been 16 years, you know, from 2010 to 2025 or 2024. She's still the same rude and disrespectful human being she used to be. And also my thing was, because it happened a few years ago, I was sexually harassed and sexually assaulted by a casting director. So I know how it feels to be powerless in a way, you know, and how many years it took for me to recover from that. You know what I mean?
Well, that's
And
actually
I was lucky.
so that's actually a big thing because I actually have similar experiences in both modeling. I did model in Paris for a while, and I've modeled in Vancouver, and I was also in the entertainment industry in Vancouver. And so that's one thing a lot of people don't talk about is the pressures that men actually have when it comes to sexual harassment from casting directors. And so just important
Yeah.
that, yeah, acknowledge your experience. That's crazy. Please continue.
Well, it's and thank you so much for talking about that because I think it's still very taboo
Yes.
for us men,
Oh,
to
yeah,
talk
yeah.
about it, and that's why I was a bit afraid to come forward because I knew some people are going to be make fun of me, or some people are going to, because it was a very strange situation, and I was very lucky that when this casting director tried to sexual assaulted me, I was able to defend myself
Yeah.
and to live, But I know it's not the case for everybody, So, and it was a very traumatic experience, like it was just it, and that's why this story with Blake was very important to me because I think what she did, she did like it's damaging for real victims because now
Yeah.
when someone else is going to come forward it's going to be so difficult, you know what I mean? So that's why
Yeah.
my issue was more about that because some people were like, because when I spoke online, then there was like journalists contacted me to talk about like what happened when I worked with Blake.
Yeah.
So I spoke with the Daily Mail and I spoke with many journalists like Kirsty Flaw. I spoke with Andy from Popcorn Planet. I spoke with different people. And some trolls online were like, "Oh, he's looking for fame, or he's trying to launch his musical career." And it was funny because they don't understand that me coming forward publicly and showing my face, it's the opposite. Like what I'm doing now is just like I'm taking so many risks for my own career, like to talk about like publicly about something.
Absolutely.
They don't understand that it's not how our business work. Like the entertainment industry, it's not how it works. You're supposed to shut up and not complain. You know what I mean? So
That's the quickest way to advance, right? Is if you just kind of take it and go along with it. A lot of times, the people that, and not to say everyone is like this, but there's a real pressure to remain silent, to keep in the job, because a lot of times it's at will employment. And like I said, I can relate to that experience myself. Since I've had this same kind of conflict myself, I have very much had a different experience in the workplace since I spoke up, or since my wife spoke up. And if anyone doesn't realize that speaking up, especially in these environments, and especially when you're not on the top of the call sheet, it really changes your experience of it. And Blake is someone who was on the top of the call sheet, speaking out against another actor, director, producer, who was also on top of the call sheet. And people understand when it comes to protecting people and actually people getting to, live their artistic life, the safety issues are night and day between top of the call sheet and bottom of the call sheet, right?
Yeah, it is, and I was very scared to come forward, but then I was like, I have to talk about like my experience with Blake because it's related to what Justin is going through, even though I didn't spend like I was not close to Blake, like in terms of having a conversation with her or like working with her. Like when I say directly, I mean like I was not like acting with her. You know what I mean? Like I was working as a as a PA, but I just saw how she was behaving on set, and just saw how and even when she was making fun of me or whatever. But I was like, if I don't say anything, then I will be part of the problem. So I'm not able to complain about something if I have some information, And I was not feeling well about not saying. So that's why I decided, okay, it will happen. Whatever happened, I'm going to, to come forward. And even though I have many people supporting me, I have a wave of hate.
Yeah.
Like on, it was crazy, especially when the article from the Daily Mail was, out. It was crazy because like almost 1 million people clicked on that article. It was crazy, and I was receiving like every day insults. My brother took his own life a few years ago. People were like,
I hear
okay,
that.
thank you. And so people were like, oh, you should be ashamed of yourself. And I hope you're going to die like your brother. Like it was the kind of thing I was
Oh my
receiving,
God.
every day. No, for real. And I screenshot everything, because I spoke with my lawyer and I said, okay,
Yeah.
so do you see what is happening? And also, I told you, like, when I spoke with Andy from Popcorn Planet, and Andy shared on his Instagram a story about me talking about working with Blake. Many friends of Blake and Ryan came to watching my stories, because so many people were starting to following me on Instagram and watching my stories. And I was looking at, the people watching my stories, and I realized there was a lot of people who were friends with Ryan and Blake.
How
And
did
that's when I knew
Well, how did that make you
a lot of
feel?
them.
Well, how did that make you feel,
I
right?
Well, I just knew that, okay, it means that Ryan and Blake now are watching me. I knew from that point, like, I knew it means that they are watching me, and they are looking what I'm saying. And it got even bigger when Megan Kelly, she shared like a snippet of a clip of an interview I've done with Colin Kurtz, a content creator. And I've done like the interview, I think it was last year in February. And so Megan Kelly, she shared that clip, that small clip. I think it was maybe before the summer, something like that, last year. And then it was getting bigger, bigger, bigger. A lot of people, like some journalists, like TV channel, like people were like coming to my profile on Instagram, people watching me, and that's when I knew, that Blake and Ryan were watching what I'm doing, watching what I'm saying, But like I said to people, it would have been so easy for me to exaggerate my interaction with Blake, especially in this environment we are in. It would have been very easy for me to lie and say, oh, Blake told me the N words. Could you imagine if I've done that? Like if I've instead of just saying the truth like I'm doing, and I just like I was trying to have my moment, let's say that to have my moment.
Yeah.
It would have been easy, especially in the era we are living in now.
Yeah.
To say, oh, she told me the N word. I'm traumatized. It will have been everywhere, like front page everywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I only spoke about what happened on set. Like my interaction with her was not good. She was disrespectful to me and other people on set, and that she was rude. You know what I mean? But that was it. But I just felt like it was relevant because she was talking about toxic environments on the set. It ends with us, So I was like, it's funny that she's saying that because when I work with her, she's the one who was putting like the whole set, like the whole very toxic vibe energy. You know what I mean? So that's why I felt like it was, important for me to talk about that because I could see like something in between with her being on set in hand with us, and when I worked with her in 2010 on Gossip Girl.
And what I find really striking about it too is that this production was a guest in Paris. It was and you were talking about your connection to the Paris film industry, media industry, and they're setting up to do a Paris arc, I'm guessing, on Gossip Girl, and it strikes me more that someone, especially who's an American, is going overseas to Paris and they're acting with that same kind of disrespect that sometimes Americans get stereotyped for. That doesn't mean it's a good thing, but it just means that it's not helping even America, our American view of film. And I don't think any of this is helping the reputation of Hollywood or American film from it. And especially
Yeah.
across the seas, what are people going to think now? Like, how did the Paris crews react to having to deal with this kind of behavior on set?
As far as I can remember, people were very focused on making sure the job is going to be done.
Yeah.
And also there was a lot of people, a lot of fans were outside, a lot of people outside, And I remember we were shooting days and night as well, So, and I remember telling like to some of the fans to be a little bit more quiet, because
Yeah.
like we were shooting scenes. And so it was like a focus to, we have to get this job done, so we have to get this job done. But I think because we had Leighton, that was the total opposite of Blake.
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of, she was respectful to everybody on set. Like, it was just not like the top people like on set. Like, she was respectful to everybody, saying thank you and saying hi to everybody. So I think that's the way people. It was nice to be in a place where, okay, we have Blake. She's difficult to work with, but we also have Leighton, and also there was like other members of the cast.
Yes.
I haven't when I was there, I didn't interact with them, but there was like other member of the cast. Like, I don't remember which one was there for those episodes, but there was Leighton, Blake, and other people from the cast as well. So. To be honest with you, there was just only Blake that was like an issue, but the rest of it was just. It was a great environment. I will say it was a great environment when Blake was not around. I know it's not good to say that, but
I mean, that's.
I just need.
Yeah.
I just need to be honest. That's my experience. Like, and I will never forget. And I said that to Leighton, and I don't think she remember me because it's. It's been like 16 years ago, but I went to her Instagram and I said, I don't know if you remember me, but a few years ago, we worked together on the set on Gossip Girl, and you were so nice to me. And also like the kind of words you told me at the end of on my last day, I will never forget, because she was doing music herself, so when she said to me, oh, well, good luck for, for everything you want to pursue. And that was like my last, impression on that set, which was a very positive,
That's kind of interesting because it really shows how when someone is so well known or they wield so much power, especially of your life when you're working on a set, that when someone treats you with kind of a benevolent kindness, it goes years down the road. And if someone's malevolent, it affects you thousandfold down the road. And so how did this experience really shape your artistic journey from there?
Well, it was just one of those things that for me it was a good experience, and it was also a way for me to understand like how tough the industry is and how you really have to be careful with how you present yourself and how you talk to people, because you never know what is going to happen in the future. It's like, it was more about, because what was funny with that on that set is like, Leighton was also a star on Gossip Girl. It was not only Blake, because I remember like all the fans were screaming, Leighton, because like, and I wish, because one of those things is just like, when I got the gig to work on that set, it was like, you have to be on time and you're not allowed to take pictures, so, and I wish I would have been able to take pictures, because there was like this huge big white trailers, so let's say there's a white trailer here, another white trailer here, and this white trailer there was Leighton, and this other white trailer it's Blake, you know what I mean? So they was like facing each other, and there was so many fans like screaming Blake, Leighton, so it was crazy. And we are talking about 2010. We are talking about when Gossip Girl was already a household name. And even when like singers or actors, when they were doing interviews and journalists were asking them, okay, do you enjoy watching TV? What is your favorite TV show at the moment?
Yeah.
Gossip Girl. It was really that time, so it was very popular.
Yeah.
And Leighton was very popular as well. So it was very strange to see the dynamic. Like there is two star, one is rude and entitled and disrespectful, and the other one is so nice to work with, very polite, very professional. But that being said, when the camera was rolling, Blake was professional. So this is something I cannot take away from her. When the camera was rolling, it's like she was someone else. Because on Gossip Girl, she's not. She's a good person on Gossip Girl. So that's why. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's why it was funny to see that in real life she's a mean girl, but like on the show, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I will never take that away from her, that when the camera was rolling, she was in the scene and boom, a professional. You know what I mean?
She's very
So
professional
yeah,
at playing nice.
yeah.
Oh.
And the thing is, yeah. So what I was answering your question is just, it was a nice experience to understand. You really have to pay attention how you treat people. It's very important in your relationship with in the entertainment, because at some point you're going to pay the price of acting up or disrespecting people.
I sometimes worry, though, that it gets into different kind of power struggles. And it's this weird
Yeah.
thing. I was working with this one acting coach in Vancouver, and he had us looking at a bunch of Kevin Spacey tapes.
Yeah.
And he was always talking about who won the scene, who lost the scene, and everything kind of got filtered through a winning and losing of every interaction and every power dynamic. And I kind of worry that a lot of people as actors have even taken that upon them and that kind of acting methodology, and they've internalized that, and that's been a big part of how a set becomes toxic. My background is usually in Le Bon and character creation for Drama School London. I worked as one of the teachers who worked there. And I don't know. I always wonder if that's where things come in, if that kind of performance dynamic bleeds into it. Because Blake, she's playing a nice character, I guess, a Gossip Girl, and she's trying to win the scene as a nice person. And if that's so different from personality, and if she's looking at winning scenes, what kind of internal conflict does that create in a person if they haven't really mastered their instrument, mastered their craft? And I always wonder how actors kind of go past those hurdles. And you yourself, as someone as an actor and someone who's kind of in that area, what do you think about the stresses of acting, dealing with crew, and how you relate to other people emotionally when you have to basically play something so opposite of yourself at times?
Yeah, well, that's a very good question. I think it's so tricky because I guess as actors, we all have different ways to approach a character. I think, because I know there was like friends of mine who are actors as well. When they play a character, like even when it's lunchtime, even when like cameras are not rolling, they still in this character. Like they're not going to eat, for example, with the rest of the crew. You know what I mean? Like they're still going to be for the entire day, still in this space. Or okay, so today I have to play a very mean, distasteful person, and so I'm going to stay in that character. I'm not going to talk to anyone. So I think it's also, I think it's related to how you deal with your preparation of a character, because there is people who are able to do, okay, it's time for us to, cameras rolling, okay, let's do the scene, and then when it's done, they go back to who they are in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's very tricky, and I think also like you said, like there is this power dynamic on set. It's very clear. There is people at the bottom, there is people here. So it's a very strange, because I remember, for example, when I was on set from Gossip Girl, it seems to me we were back to high school. Like it was very strange because like you have the people who are, some people are very popular, and then you have people who, it was a very strange atmosphere. And I guess so many, I think to answer your questions, there is so many layers. I think, so many things play in the fact that it could be toxic because of, like I said, how you approach your character, how you are also as a person. Like there is so many things coming to play, and also when you have those people with an entourage, like we have, like assistant and other people around, some yes people also, it could be very difficult to deal with that. So there is so many. Yeah, I could not give like just one answer, but I guess my main answer would be, it really depends on how you approach your character, how you're able to separate. Okay, here I'm playing on a character, and then I'm going back to who I am, and I'm able to separate, those two things.
It's interesting because we're talking about like structures of sets, and my understanding, especially of Wayfarer and the values that company holds, is they genuinely don't have that hierarchical way of thinking. And I kind of look at the set, and even though that when it came to the actual set and the call sheet, they didn't really consider that in the same way. And I've always viewed sometimes the set hierarchies can become very toxic, and they're toxic to the art, they're toxic to the production. And it shows you that because when you're on set with Leighton, when she was really living that kind of respectful ensemble theater troupe kind of community way of thinking, it fed the production, it fed everyone in the production, and it made everything better. And it's just really a startling dynamic to see people like Justin or Leighton who have those ways of thinking and who are, in my ways, closer to the original spirit of theater that doesn't have that, I don't want to put it, but just like this kind of lobotomized theatrical experience. And I'm just wondering what you think this means for Hollywood in relationship to how people interact on set, and whether it's going to become even more stratified, or if it's kind of an opening up to a time when people can have a more egalitarian or more equal, more respectful interaction with everyone on set after this.
I don't want to sound negative, but I believe that, and especially since Adam, one of Justin's friends, who were also on set with Blake on Ends with Us, spoke about Justin a few days ago. I feel like Justin was too authentic and too real for Hollywood. Like, I don't think people like Justin, there was a few people like him, to be honest. This is just my opinion. I feel like there was still going to be like this type of toxic environment because if you see what happened with Blake and Justin opened up. Like, it was, this guy is very honest, and you can tell like it's authentic. It's not trying to play as it's not playing. I just feel like this guy is authentic. That's why so many people love him. And I think at some point that was his mistake, to think that being open this way to people like Blake or Ryan, then they use it against him. You know what I mean? So I don't think unfortunately that there's going to be a change about like how it's working on set. I think it's still going to be the same way, and you really have to choose wisely who you're going to work with. And I think it would have been maybe better if Justin had worked with someone else, because I think it was more a matter of, for example, it's just my opinion, but if Justin had worked with Leighton, for example, we would have never had this type of situation, because my experience working with Leighton, she is in the same spirit of Justin, in terms of I'm here for the arts. I'm here to making sure like everyone is I will not say safe, but everyone is respected. We all in this together. We're just going to do something amazing together. That was like the type of energy that Leighton gave me. It was more about, even though I'm just a PA and I'm not acting, as an actor on set, I'm still part of the crew. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is how she was acting, and on the other end, you have Blake acting like I was useless and she didn't know why I was here. But anyway, so that's why I think I don't think is ever going to change, because if you just read like the reaction or what Taylor Swift was saying about Justin Baldoni, or when Blake was talking to Matt Damon and his wife, and they were all like determined to destroy that man. You realize that most of the people in Hollywood, they are used to a very toxic environment, and someone like Justin, it's not what they are looking for. Like it was just more having someone like Justin was too real, too authentic, too sincere, like to a point like they were like, oh my God, what is this guy? Because they all used to, no, I think that they are used to very toxic individuals, so having Justin being so genuine about his work and being authentic and wanting everyone to win, and it's they are not used to that, so that's why I think unfortunately it's not going to change. And I think Justin is very lucky to have someone like Steve, what is his name, Steve,
Mr. Sarowitz.
Yeah, because could you imagine if he didn't have this man backing him up financially? It would have been the end for him.
Yeah. Well, honestly, it would have I've been fighting Ryan for years, and I've actually managed to get through it. It's tough. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Like it's a tough grind, but it's definitely a lot easier if you have, as Ryan put it, a benevolent billionaire to back you. And I just want to go on a bit of a tangent, because you really got me thinking. Because I kind of feel like Dostoevsky's Idiot. This idea that someone like Justin, who's like caring, compassionate, open, is like some kind of mental illness. And I feel like that's kind of how Ryan portrayed him. And I kind of disagree with that, because I don't think that's the case with Dostoevsky, because I don't think that genuinity in itself means that you fundamentally don't understand reality. Because, he addressed it. He addressed the complex reality and the difficulty of it, and the difficulty of the aftermath, and the difficulty of fighting back, and the difficulty of that conflict within the industry.
Yeah.
And so I just kind of wonder if maybe we've gotten a bit too cynical, and we've kind of started to think that good-natured person, because think about some of the older 80s movies. It was all about like these good-natured people who are completely open and interacting. And we've gone down this path of Breaking Bad and continually darker things, that now that art has normalized that culture in media, because someone like Justin in the 80s would be seen very much as a normal thing, I believe, because that's just how people saw themselves in the past. That sense of genuinity was actually expected. And so do you think it's maybe just a cultural shift where we've gotten darker and more cynical, where Justin would not be as other than outside it?
Yeah, well, I think it's a cultural shift, because don't get me wrong, like I'm all about like Justin spirit and his way of thinking. I feel the same, and I think that's why maybe it's I feel
that's why you stood up for him, right?
Yeah, because I know where it's coming from, because I do the same like in entertainment, and I pay the price to be sometimes too honest and authentic when you are working with people.
But you're a musician, so I can feel that in your singing when you do things. And that's why so many actors who are musicians, I find a lot of people who do music, like Leighton themselves, are usually a lot better actors, because to be a musician, you really have to connect to that emotionality, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, that. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt on there, but I just want to say,
No, no, no.
yeah,
You know, I no, I think I agree. I feel like it's there was like a shift, and I agree with you that you know, back in the day, like you know, like in the 80s and 90s, it would have been different. But there is this culture of toxic environment that's been in place for years now, and that's
yeah,
why when you have someone like Justin Baldoni, it's strange. You know, for example, when you read like those text messages from between Blake and Taylor,
yeah,
they are making fun of Justin Baldoni. Like it's crazy. Like it's like you reading those text messages and you're like, those two women, they are grown women. It's not like acting like teenagers and making fun of a man because this man was sincere and authentic and you know telling to Blake, "Oh, do you feel comfortable?" Trying to please her, like trying to making sure she's, you know, she's happy with everything. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So the guy just you can tell that he cares about people, you know, and instead of being appreciative of that, they were making like she was making fun of him, you know,
yep,
because why? Because she's toxic herself, but she is used to being in a very toxic environment, like for example her husband, you know,
yeah,
because this guy made fun of Justin, you know, like you know, and for me, I just feel it's only you know my opinion, but I just feel like Ryan is jealous of Justin in a way. Like there is something that Justin have, he wish he could have,
yeah,
um, and the way he was trying to portray him as a lunatic or someone that is strange, it just tells me that you know Ryan is the one with you know, with the power, with the money, with some people will say everything,
yeah.
and he is making fun of Justin Baldoni. Like it says everything I need to know about that guy. You know, just making fun, using your power and your money, trying to destroy someone else. You know,
Well, I've worked
so
with Ryan before. I'm from the same small Vancouver scene, and
yeah,
honestly, I don't know how to figure that guy out because, on one hand, I see someone who, because I always believe there's something good in everyone, and people take the wrong path. And I think the industry can make people take the wrong path,
yeah,
and I think like Blake, she's doing the backbiting with, in my opinion, of course, with Taylor, and like she's drawing Taylor into a bad path, right? She's taking her into a more toxic, angry place, and a lot of people can draw other people in their lives into more toxic places because you know, think of
yeah,
Ryan, who's a guy who loves John Candy. And that's something I share with him, and like SCTV and that core of Canadian comedy. And that core of Canadian comedy is actually being a good person, being nice, and having that safe environment. But you got to kind of think about people who are big now were once very small. They came from a different
yeah,
place, and then everything that happens, they come to the top of the call sheet, they become jaded, they get pressured. Look at the casting director experiences that both you and I've had. Now, if you're in it longer, how much worse does it get? And how much does eventually that take a psychological toll? And so it's the same thing. It's, you know, it's talking about still when you're in conflict, humanizing the person you're in conflict with to realize they've probably had a lot of negative experiences that got them there. And it doesn't mean that they're not valid as a human being. You still have to deal with who they are, but it's
yeah,
keeping an eye on the, you know, the good, but also looking at, you know, the reality of the situation. And that breaks my heart because I still see, like, even you with Blake, you saw some talent in her ability to do it. And it's a shame because I believe that that kind of backbiting is what holds an actress back. That kind of energy and that way of thinking is what holds her back as an actress and holds her back as a performer. And even with Ryan, because I feel like his performance has narrowed so substantially, and it's, I believe the way they've started to live their life and come to things has ultimately undermined their craft. And if you're truly an artist, that's one of the worst things you can imagine because you have enough money to eat, you have enough money to live. Anything else you're getting, you don't need. You're doing it for a reason that's usually quite petty. I mean, if you, because you're an actor, you're not a mogul. You're not trying to be Elon Musk. You're not trying to create that. And so I
Yeah.
just see that as a fundamental tragedy. And I could see, Justin is going to be able to go on. He's going to be able to keep that part of himself and make his art. Now, for Blake and Ryan, that conversation about them is still ongoing. And I wonder, do you think that people are who they are like this? Or do you think the industry and the harshness just breaks their spirits?
Who? I think it's both. Like, I think I can have some empathy, like for someone who got lost in the entertainment. You can be a good person, and at some point, for example, we both experience, uh, you know, having to deal with a casting director and sexual harassment and sexual assault, and it's heavy. Like
Yeah.
it's very traumatic. Like and just something like that can change you in a way that you can either go to one way or the other. Like it could be, okay, I'm just going to take time to heal, and then I'm going to come back, or you're going to try to ignore what just happened and keep going. But then at some point you're going to collapse because it was so traumatic, and then you can start to be angry, and then you can start to put this anger to other people. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think as much as I want to empathize with some people thinking, oh, maybe in the beginning when they were not famous and they might be like good person, and then staying in the industry and how tough the industry is sometimes can change people. But at the end of the day, you also responsible of your own decision, if it makes sense. So it's like me, let's say, for example, if I didn't have such a strong family, a strong unit family, like my parents, my brothers, and if I didn't went to therapy, or if I was not doing sports, like because I'm doing CrossFit, for example,
I
boxing
see
as
that. Yeah,
well,
yeah.
and it's really helped me to overcome this trauma, and also just to be very um, transparent. The casting director, I was able to face him last year because it happened in 2017, and I found the strength to confront him like last year. And the thing is, it was just not only him. Like there was him and other people in this company. So it was like him. There was like two other men and three women, and all of them apologized to me, all of them.
Really?
Yeah, and but also because I'm not going to lie, the way I approached them was very clear. It's like, either you apologize to me, and I'm not asking anything. Either you apologize to me, or I'm going to go online and I'm going to say what happened. And also, I still have receipts, of what the type of messages this guy was sending me,
Yeah.
So, and that was like the beginning of everything for me in terms of moving forward, like in this trauma, to open a new chapter, because the only thing that I wanted to tell him is like, I'm going to have a good life. And for the rest of your life, you're going to live with what you did to me and other people, and I believe in karma, and so this guy is not in the industry anymore, because if this guy was still in this industry, I would have been vocal on social media,
Absolutely.
but this guy, so it's not going to hurt anyone, anymore. But the fact that I was able to face him and say, you have not destroyed me, and I'm going to have a good life, and a good career. That was just very important to me, just to face him and say those type of things, because the man that I was like in 2017 is not the same man that I am now. Well, it was in 2025. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and that's why if I'm talking about that, it's because I feel like it's the path you choose. Regardless of what happened in your life, even if it was very difficult, even if because there was people who grew up with a very tough childhood, without maybe parents and I just feel like it's not a reason. I think you can understand someone's behavior, but at the end of the day, you also have to take accountability and say, okay, there is stuff that happened to me, and that might be the reason why I'm mean or acting up with other people, but that's not their responsibility. That's not, it's like for me, trying to be, not even trying, like just being mean with let's say my girlfriend, for example. She's not responsible what happened to me 10 years ago. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's my own responsibility. She can be around and helping me to move forward, but I'm the only one who can make a change and being like, okay, this thing is bothering me for years. I need to fix this, and in order to move forward. So I will always have more respect for someone who's going to be able to say, I apologize, I messed up, those kind of things, because you can work with people, maybe they mean in the first place. And then when you get to know them, you realize, okay, they were going through something difficult and they were, man enough or grown enough to say, the way I was talking to you that day or when we were working together was not right. I was going through this and this. It's not your fault, it's mine. And I hope we can move forward. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying is like, I totally get what you said about like, it's, the industry can change you but at some point you have to choose which way are you going to go? Are you going to stay angry and mean because something happened to you a few years ago, and then you're going to put it on others? Or are you going to fix this and be a better human being? It's at some point you have to make a choice.
If you're going to become part of the cycle or you're going to break it.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow, it's been a really wonderful interview. I've enjoyed talking with you, but I really want to focus now on your creative pursuits and your music and your documentary, and give you a chance to talk about that if you're open to it, because I know that's a very emotional topic for you.
Yeah. Well, it's this documentary. It's very important to me because I lost a brother to suicide in 2010. And this documentary is not about my brother, and it's not a documentary about myself. I'm going to be the narrator, and I'm going to interview different people who lost a son, a brother, a husband, to suicide. Because us, like in the UK, the number of people, dying, taking their own lives, the number for men are huge. The numbers are huge. And I just want to make a change, but I want to make a change in a different way. That's why I don't want to be, I'm not going to be in front of the camera. People are going to hear my voice interviewing people. And it's more about like, what can we do like for the numbers to go down? Like, it's just crazy what is happening right now. Like, there is so many people who are so desperate, and they feel like the only thing they can do to escape the pain is just to die, and just it's more about, and even like my first single called I Don't Know, I'm talking about when I was in this deep, very down, dark place, when I lost my brother, when it was like, so many situations, losing my brother, losing my voice. I was just stuck. I was just stuck in this tunnel, like it was as if it was a black tunnel, and I was not able to see the light. And I was like, it's like you're walking through a tunnel, it's dark, there is no light, and you're just walking, but it's just like, oh my God, am I going to make it? So this first single is very important to me because I wrote and produced that song. It's going to be the music we are using for the documentary as well. But I was just trying to give hope, and trying to give hope. And when I say I don't know how I feel, because I don't know how I feel, this is the name of the documentary. But the way I created that song is because I have my music partner. We're working together, and it's the result of a conversation. One day someone was asking me, "Oh, EWood, how are you?" And I said, "I don't know." I was not able to give a proper answer. And so that's how I started writing this song. I don't know how I feel. And
You were
I'm in such
disassociated.
yeah, and I'm in such a better place now. But the entire because in 2010 we were not talking about mental health that much. It was not a thing. Now we are more open to talking about mental health, and there is so many spot online about the numbers, and you can have a conversation, but in 2010 it was not like this type of conversation. We were not talking about like suicide the way we are talking about now.
Yeah.
So it was a very hard time, and I feel I'm lucky that I'm alive, because at that time I didn't think I would be able to make it. But once again, I think it's because I have a very strong family, because I have like, my dad, my mom, my brothers, my friends. And also I give credit to myself as well, because I'm not weak. I'm sensitive. Being sensitive doesn't mean you are weak. And I was very strong. And I think I'm very strong to deal with this situation. And like I said, when I lost my voice, also because I suffered because of the shock of the situation, losing my brother. I had something called dysphonia, and it can be caused by a stressful situation, and that was like the moment, and it happened years later, because my brother died in 2010, but I really started to lose my voice. It was in 2014, 2015. That's when the first sign of the illness started to arrive, because it was like, because I was in denial for many years. For many years, I didn't want to accept the reality. It took his life. I didn't want to accept that. It was just not part of the narrative. So it's only when I started to accept the reality that I was starting to getting sick, and that's when I lost my voice, and I was not able to sing. And people can look online dysphonia. Even someone like Brian from the Backstreet Boys,
Yeah.
he suffered from that as well. And this is something that's heavy. Like it's my talking voice, my singing voice, everything was gone.
I think
And to
that's
be honest
that
with you,
happens. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. I think that
no, no,
happens.
no, go.
I was just saying, I think because I've heard it before. I think it's something that a lot of singers, not all singers, but it's something that singers go through because it's something so precious for them that once they've undergone trauma, it's hard to engage in that precious, whatever that so precious action is. I don't know much
Yeah.
about it, but I've heard of other singers having it before.
Yeah, and honestly, because I believe in God, and
Yeah.
it's very important in my life. And I remember at that time, I was praying every day, going, and when I was going to church on Sunday, I was always saying, okay, God, I'm not asking you money. The only thing I'm asking you is I just want to make sure my voice is going to be back. I will be able to make money myself, but I just asking you to my voice to be back. And I remember those days. It was such dark days, and I was starting to gain weight, and also because at that time also, uh, because 2014, 2015, some sign was starting to show, but I didn't pay attention. 2016 was a good year for me, like professionally. Then 2017, that's when I had this situation with this casting director.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's funny because when you went through a very traumatic situation, the side effect of it might arrive a few years later. And I never experienced panic attack in my life. That was the first time after this situation with this casting director. Like, and that's why I was very angry with the situation with Blake and Justin, because there is so many survivors, so many victims who are struggling every day. There is like people who are struggling to getting out of bed. There is people who are still dealing with panic attack and being all sweaty. Because like for me, for example, when I was having like those panic attacks, it was looking like, let's say we are in the pub together having a conversation, someone coming in the pub looking like the casting director. I'm having a panic attack thinking that's the casting director, but it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm starting to sweat. And when I see the sweat is like as if I was on a treadmill for 1 hour. In a matter of maybe 1 or 2 minutes, I'm going to be like all sweaty. And it's like, and I'm like stone. It's like I'm not able to move. And that was crazy, So, and it took me years to overcome that, and so that's why it's very close to me, mental health and finding solutions. How can we manage to have less people taking their own lives, and how me personally, I know like sports was very instrumental, in me feeling better, like sports, like I said, CrossFit, boxing, but also writing music, So, but yeah, it was just I'm very proud of myself, because like even like talking to you, if you asked me maybe in 2018, 2019, I don't think at that time I thought I would be still alive, because it was a struggle like every day.
Yeah.
It was just like I was just like those panic attacks. It was just I could not control it. Like I was going to the gym like every day. I was running an hour thinking, it's going to be enough. But no, even like trying to socialize and being with friends outside was just a struggle, because I was thinking about, there was like the death of my brother, this casting director, and all the people who knew and didn't do anything,
Yeah.
So it was just, and that is something that I also want to talk about, about like those predators. We don't want to talk about like those accomplices, those people around, because those people are not like, they're not doing this by themselves. They always have few people around. And so it's it was just a very dark place.
It's funny because I was just talking to a friend of mine about this quote. It's an old Martin Luther King quote. In the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends.
Yeah.
And that's absolutely it. And it's been wonderful talking to you. Thank you so much for sharing everything you've been through, your music, your experience with your family. And thank you for being honest about your experience and coming forward to support this conversation about, authenticity, mental health, and trying to make the world a better place. So I think by coming forward, you have contributed to make the world a better place. And I want to see your music ambitions soar. And so, again, thank you so much for coming.
Well, thank you so much for having me. It was, so great to talk to you. I really appreciate that. It was just a great conversation. I really appreciate that. Thank you.